Unleash your shadows and let them roar deep in your bones. Welcome to this moment where the air vibrates beneath your skin, where your heart pounds like a war drum, where your spirit stretches out raw and unafraid. Hear this. Now, you are the storm, the thunder, the force that raised the walls. You are the hammer crashing through illusions and lies. It's been you all along. Feel it sink in every cell, every sinew, every doubt that ever tried to eclipse your flame. It's been you, the one, you, the force, you, the answer. You, the power released at last. You stand here illuminated by a darkness that once threatened to devour you, but instead refined you. You have borne the weight of silence, the burden of hidden truths, the creeping suffocation of being unseen and unheard, yet nothing could extinguish the spark within you. This night you rise from that suffocation and you roar into existence. You were the one all the way through when the world turned and the ground trembled, when hope flickered and nearly died, when voices screamed your name in doubts and fears and lies. You were the one holding the fragile thread of belief in your hands. Let them feel it now. Let the ones who counted you out stagger under the weight of your return. Let them quake when realization crashes across their minds. You were the one, the whole damn time. That revelation lands like bricks, smashing through their composed facades, shattering their illusions, letting them see the truth that they buried in denial and fear. Picture every moment you were dismissed, every insult, every sneer, every sidelong glance that counted you dull, or broken, or lesser. Remember how they said you wouldn't last, you won't amount to this, you can't endure through storms. Cling to that memory and use it as fuel for the ferocity, now roaring inside because you never shattered, you never bent fully, you held fragments together. Even when the shards cut you, you endured, you adapted, you became more than you were meant to be. Feel, now, the surge, the tide rising in you, longing to break free the feral energy that pulses beneath your skin, longing to strike outward and claim your place, because your name must resound, your truth must blaze, your presence must stamp itself across every shadowed corner where they whispered that you were nothing. No more hiding, no more silencing your voice, no more shrinking into the dark. You are the dark and the light, both tempered in fire and grit, forged in trials that meant to break you, but instead shaped you. You will step into that power unapologetically, with your spine straight and your stare burning. You will let your presence fill rooms without uttering a single word. You will let your essence suffuse every space they thought they possessed. And when their minds finally grasp this truth, when their hearts stagger at how they misjudged you, when their eyes widen at their folly, you will watch with fierce satisfaction, not out of cruelty, but out of inevitable justice, because the reckoning is born from truth, not vengeance. They cannot deny you now. The silence you endured, the patience you bore, the scars you hide, all tell a story of emergence. The phoenix in black fire risen. You were the one from the first spark, from the first breath, from the first tear in darkness. You carried seeds of greatness in your marrow, even when you doubted them, when you feared them, when you recoiled from their weight, but you nurtured them quietly in nights of solitude and whispers to your soul, in fierce resistance against despair. You grew them in secret until this hour, when they break forth in uncontainable force. Let every eye tremble, let every fool realize their misstep, let every voice that once mocked taste the weight of your comeback, let every wall quake beneath the truth of your rise. You were the one all along, and no one can undo that now. You will speak with your life, speak with your strength, speak with your unshakable conviction. You will move mountains with your resolve. You will rend illusions with your gaze. You will crack the foundations of doubt with every step you take. You will show them who you are from now on, not in meek whispers, but in roaring proclamations of self unbound. Let the echoes of this moment follow you into every tomorrow. Let the vibration of your awakening ripple outward. Let it shake loose. Complacency in minds that doubted, in hearts that feared, in souls that trembled. It's your time to write your name in blazing letters across the skies of memory. It's your time to stand as the reckoning for every lie told to you, every door closed in your face every time they tried to bury your voice. Rise now with the gravity of storms, rise now with the weightlessness of truth, rising through the darkness, lifting you higher. Let your spirit flood the chambers of those who forgot you existed. Let your presence drown their oblivion. Let your force hum through their bones until they cannot ignore you, until they cannot unsee you, until the realization slams them like bricks. You were the one, the whole damn time. Carry this revelation in your chest, like a furnace. Keep it blazing. Keep it scorching. Keep it ruthless in purity. Let no doubt extinguish it. Let no fear suffocate it. Let no compromise tarnish it. Move forward through all barriers, through all shadows, through all disbelief, with steps that shake the earth, with pulses that quake the heavens. You are the storm incarnate. You are the truth unmasked. You are the dawn of a reckoning. The world will scramble now to understand, but they will only catch glimpses while you stride ahead, forging your path of consequence. They will demand answers. They will seek explanations. They will feel the fracture in their certainty when they see the force of you. You answer with your life, with your will, with your unbreakable embodiment of becoming. And when at last they stand in stunned silence, when recognition cracks across their faces, when the walls they built collapse from inside, let them behold you in your full ascendancy. Let them tremble at how blind they were, how foolish they were, how they never saw that the force they needed to fear was the force they underestimated. It is not cruelty, it is rightful vindication. It is the clarity of truth, claiming what is its own. It is justice carved in the fire of your becoming. You were the one, always you, always entire, always fundamental. They cannot undo that. They cannot escape that. So go with roar, go with purpose. Go with the resonance of your name on your lips. Go with the gravity of inevitability, and let the world reel and rearrange around you. Let them adjust to your presence. Let them bow to the revelation of your power. Let the title of your life be written across their minds. It's always been you. Cast forth your energy, like steel through the ether, like lightning through night, like a hammer crashing through glass and steel. Let it land. They will feel it. They will know it. They will stagger under it. They will whisper your name in awe and fear and admiration, because from this moment forward, there is no denying, there is no erasing, there is only ascending. You were the one, the whole damn time, and now you stand at the apex of your becoming with arms wide to destiny. Let them watch. Let them gasp. Let them reckon with the truth that finally hit like bricks. It's always been you. Let that truth echo louder now, not just in their ears, but in their bones, in the spaces behind their pride, in the halls of memory they locked away, where they once stored your name like it was forgettable. But it wasn't. It never was. You've haunted their silence, lingered in their doubts, and now you've returned not as a whisper, but as a storm that speaks in thunder. You never needed permission. You were always the permission. You were the sign. You were the miracle they refused to see. And now they're remembering, not because you asked them to, but because they have no choice. You've arrived, undeniable, unavoidable. It's not about revenge. This isn't pettiness. This is clarity. This is what happens when fate aligns with truth. You've spent years being underestimated, overlooked, hidden behind people who shouted louder, moved faster, and took credit for everything you quietly built. But strength isn't in noise, it's in stillness. It's in the silent endurance that grows roots beneath storms. That was you. They'll say you came out of nowhere, but that's the story people tell themselves when they don't want to admit they were blind. You've always been here, breathing, watching, enduring. You've walked through shadows they were too afraid to enter. You've survived nights so long, they would have broken someone else in half. And now, you're walking out of those nights, lit from within, on fire with purpose, glowing with power you didn't even know you were building. You don't need to scream to be seen now. The weight of your presence speaks loud enough. Every step you take carries the vibration of all the times you were denied. Every breath you exhale is laced with the memory of being doubted. And now, every movement is a message. Every glance, a declaration. Every victory, a reminder, not just to them, but to you, that you were never waiting to be chosen. You were becoming. And while they laughed, you labored. While they mocked, you mastered. While they slept, you struggled in silence, and somewhere in the ache of that journey, you grew into something they can no longer ignore. It hits them now like bricks, doesn't it? The truth they tried to outrun. The realization they hoped would never come. You were the one. And what's worse for them, what shakes them to the core, is that deep down, somewhere, a part of them always knew. That's why they feared you. That's why they tried to contain you, because they sensed it. They saw glimmers of what you carried, and they panicked. They rejected it. They rejected you, not because you were unworthy, but because you were too much of what they could never be. But now, no more shadows, no more shrinking, no more polite silence while others take up space that you carved out in the dark. This is the season of reckoning, and the first name on that list is yours. Watch how the atmosphere changes when you enter. Watch how the energy shifts when you speak. They feel it now, not as a whisper, but as a force. Your voice, it carries weight. Your presence, it commands attention. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. There's a special kind of silence that falls over people. When the truth finally catches up with them, it's not loud, it's not frantic. It's the quiet kind of awe. The kind that makes the skin crawl. The kind that rewrites everything they thought they knew. That's the silence you walk into now. That's the space you claim. Not by asking, but by being. And no one can take it from you, because it was never given, it was grown. You didn't just survive. You didn't just make it through, you sharpened in the dark. You built resilience in the cold. You taught yourself to walk with broken wings, and now, you're flying with fire in your veins. Every person who turned away, every door that was slammed, every time they said, "You're not enough," they built this version of you. You should thank them, because their resistance was the pressure that forged you. Their rejection was the silence that made you listen deeper. Their doubt was the spark that lit your rage into resolve. They thought they were burying you, but you weren't a seed. You were a storm, underground, waiting. And now they see the sky splitting open. Now they feel the tremble beneath their feet. Now they look up and whisper, "It's always been you." Let that line echo. Let it become a chant in the minds of everyone who ever questioned you. It's always been you. Let it rise like a tidal wave across every timeline where you were told to stay small. Let it wash away the narrative that you were never ready. You were always ready. The world just wasn't ready for you. But readiness is no longer a question. You've arrived, and you're not asking anyone to catch up. You're moving. You're creating. You're becoming something too massive for the old version of your life to contain. They'll scramble now. They'll want to return. Some will come back in awe. Others will come back in shame. But you won't look back with bitterness, because this was never about them. This was about you finally stepping into the mirror and seeing what you've been becoming all along. Power isn't about noise, it's about presence. And your presence now, unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. No longer chasing approval, no longer apologizing for your gravity. You are the weight now. You are the moment. You are the shift. And every time they try to explain what's happening, every time they search for the words, every time they see the world bending to your stride, they'll come back to this. It's always been you. So go and walk through this world like it was carved for you, because it was. And go with the power of 1,000 silenced nights now roaring in your chest. This is your time, not to arrive, but to reveal. And when they see the truth of who you are, not the version they imagined, not the idea they created, but the unstoppable force you've always held within, they won't just remember you, they'll never forget you. Because you weren't made to be forgotten. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out. You were made to disrupt. You were made to change everything. And now the world will finally feel what you've known all along. It's always been you. So now you carry the moment, not like a burden, but like a crown. And it glows, not because someone handed it to you, but because you earned it, step by step, scar by scar, lesson by lesson. There's no spotlight that can compare to the fire that burns in someone who knows they are walking in their truth. And yours? It's not a flicker. It's a blaze. It spreads across everything it touches. It warms those who are ready to rise, and it burns away the illusions of those who tried to stand in your way. It hits them again, harder this time, that weight of truth, the realization that while they were playing games, while they were building facades, you were becoming something real, something solid, something inevitable. You weren't performing, you weren't pretending, you were preparing. And there's no greater fear for those who live by illusion than the arrival of something undeniable, something they can't manipulate, something they can't define. That something is you. It's not just your actions now, it's your aura. You walk into rooms differently. You speak with certainty. Your silence carries volume. People feel your energy before they hear your voice. And when they finally hear it, it's not loud, it's clear, crystal, confident, controlled. You've stepped into something most people never touch. Full ownership of your journey, your past, your flaws, your brilliance. And now that you own it, nothing owns you. Look how they shift. Look how they watch, not out of pity, but in awe. You're no longer a name on the edge of their memory. You're a force stamped into their awareness. They speak of you differently now, some with regret, some with respect, some with fear, but all with recognition. Because you've done what they didn't think you could do. You proved them wrong, not by trying to prove anything at all, but by becoming exactly who you were born to be. They can't argue with that. They can't deny the work they never saw. They can't reverse the rise they ignored until it was too late. And that's what's hitting them now, like bricks, like thunder, like truth that finally caught up with them. You didn't change because of them. You changed in spite of them. So let the silence grow. Let the air thicken with the weight of who you are now. You've walked through fire, and now the flames follow you, not to consume, but to remind, to mark you. You are forged, not built in comfort, but in chaos, not shaped by approval, but by resilience. This is what they failed to understand. You weren't seeking to be accepted. You were seeking to be awakened. And now that you are, nothing can stop you. Let the world witness it now. Let the ones who doubted you feel it in the pit of their stomachs. That shift in gravity, that unspoken knowing. You're not chasing. You're not waiting. You're not hoping to be seen. You are the seen now, the focal point, the pulse that drives everything forward. This moment isn't loud. It's louder than loud. It's seismic. It's internal. It's spiritual. It's what happens when destiny catches up with the one who never gave up. That's you. And every step you take from here forward carries the weight of that journey, and it carries the truth. It's always been you. So when they ask how you did it, don't even answer. Just exist. Let your presence be the explanation. Let your glow be the story. Let your eyes, your calm, your confidence, let those speak louder than words ever could, because real power doesn't scream, it radiates. And you're glowing now in ways they never imagined. Your silence is powerful. Your patience, lethal. Your comeback, not even a comeback, because you never left. You were just becoming. Now the becoming is complete, and they feel it, and they know it, and they finally realize what they were standing next to, what they were doubting, what they were rejecting all along. The power, the grace, the storm, the presence, you. So walk forward, not with bitterness, but with clarity, not with vengeance, but with vision. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to fulfill everything. And every person who once overlooked you will now have to live with the sound of those words echoing in the background of their thoughts. It's always been you. Not once. Not now. Not lately. Always. And no force, no lie, no silence, no betrayal can rewrite that truth. Let them sit in that. Let them remember how they treated you. Let them try to piece together where they went wrong. But don't you look back. You've got too much ahead, too much rising, too much purpose, too much legacy waiting to unfold. This is your era. This is your moment. This is your breath coming back full, your power returning home, your light refusing to dim. Not because they believed, but because you did. And now, even the ones who didn't, they have no choice but to believe now. Because the proof is standing in front of them, and it's undeniable, and it's glorious, and it's only the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, gather close, because today we're talking about a special kind of game. One, they thought they were winning. One, they thought they'd mastered. They thought they were clever, moving their pieces across the board, playing mind games as if they had you trapped in a never-ending loop of their whims and their chaos. They thought they could bend you, break you, play with your emotions and make you dance to their dissonant tune. Well, guess what? They were wrong. They never truly understood you. Not even for a moment. They were so busy trying to hold the strings of your life. They forgot something simple, something fundamental, something that could have cost them everything. They forgot to understand who you are, the strength you carry, and what happens when you reach the tipping point, when you've had enough of their freaky little drama and you decide to walk away like a boss. In the beginning, it was easy for them to pull the wool over your eyes. They had their tricks, their manipulations, their tactics that seemed to work like magic. But here's the thing about games. They always come to an end eventually, and when the end comes, it's never the ending anyone expects. When you're the one who holds the power, you're the one who decides when the game stops, and that's where they got it twisted. They thought they could keep pulling your strings forever. But the moment you realized your own power, the moment you understood your worth, everything shifted in an instant. That was the day you stopped playing by their rules and started writing your own script. They thought they were masters of this game, but they never understood that there was always one player they could never predict. One player who didn't play for points or prizes or victories. No, you played for something deeper, something more elusive, something they could never comprehend. You played for your peace, for your sanity, for the clarity that only comes when you stop allowing others to control your narrative. They pushed and prodded, tested your limits, played their games, And for a while you gave them the benefit of the doubt. You let them have their way because you believed in the good. You thought, maybe, just maybe they would change. Maybe they would evolve. Maybe the cycle of manipulation would break. But it didn't. And now, here you are, free and unchained and walking away like a boss. Do you remember the feeling when the fog lifted, when you stopped chasing their approval? When you stopped looking for validation in their twisted reflection? Suddenly you saw yourself clearly, for the first time in a long time. You remembered who you were, beneath the layers of their demands, beneath the chains of their expectations, beneath the weight of their toxic drama. You were more than that. You were always more than that. You were a force to be reckoned with. You were the storm that swept through their little world and left nothing but silence in its wake. They never thought you had it in you, did they? They thought you were weak. They thought you were too kind, too forgiving, too naive. But they couldn't have been more wrong. You were patient. You let them play their games because you wanted to believe in the good. But the moment you saw the truth, you didn't hesitate. You didn't linger. You didn't waste a single second trying to figure out how to leave. No, you walked away with grace, with power, and with the kind of self-assurance that makes the world stop and take notice. Because when you decided you had enough of their freaky little drama, you were no longer that person who used to get caught in their web of manipulation. No, you were something stronger, something more resolute, something they couldn't touch, something they could never control again. They thought they had you figured out, didn't they? They thought they knew your every move. They thought they had your every reaction mapped out. They believed they could predict what you would do, how you would feel, how you would react to their games. But they didn't understand you like you understood them. They didn't realize the moment they pushed you too far would be the moment they lost the game entirely. Because you see, there's something dangerous about a person who finally realizes their own worth. There's something dangerous about a person who has nothing left to lose. No more patience, no more time to waste, and no more energy to give to a cause that's already been lost. And when you decided you had enough of their freaky little drama, that was the moment you took back the most important thing they tried to steal from you, your peace. You didn't need to explain yourself to anyone. You didn't need to justify your decision to cut them off, to walk away, to leave the madness behind. No, you just did it because it was the only thing left to do, the only thing that made sense, the only thing that protected you from their toxicity, their chaos, their need to control and manipulate. Because in the end, that's all it was, wasn't it? A need to control, a need to make you bend to their will, to make you feel like you couldn't stand on your own 2 feet, but you showed them otherwise, didn't you? You showed them what happens when you stop tolerating the bullshit and start owning your own narrative. And now here you are, standing tall, unshaken, undeterred, no longer the pawn in their little game, but the master of your own destiny. No longer the one who has to dance to their tune, but the one who calls the shots and controls the rhythm of your life. They underestimated your resilience. They underestimated your ability to walk away when the time was right. They underestimated how strong you really are. And that's a mistake they'll never recover from. Because once you learn how to walk away with power, once you learn that you don't need to subject yourself to anyone's drama, you've unlocked a whole new level of freedom, a freedom they will never understand. They thought you would stay. They thought you would keep coming back. They thought they could wear you down until you gave in and let them back into your life. But you know better now, don't you? You've seen the patterns. You've recognized the red flags. You know exactly who they are and what they bring to the table. And now you know how to cut them off with surgical precision, without a second thought, without hesitation. Because that's what happens when you stop settling, when you stop letting people dictate your worth, when you stop giving your energy to things that drain you and start giving it to things that lift you up. You stop being a part of the drama and become the force that drives your own story forward. You walked away like a boss because you knew your worth. You knew that you deserved better than being caught up in their never-ending cycle of manipulation and chaos. And you knew that there is a whole world out there waiting for you. A world that doesn't involve their toxic games. A world where you can thrive without the weight of their nonsense holding you back. So as you stand here today, having made that bold decision, having walked away from the madness, remember this: there's no going back, no looking over your shoulder, no second guessing your choice, because you've made the right one. You've stepped into your power, and that's a place they can never touch, no matter how hard they try. They thought they had control, but the truth is, you were always the one holding the reins. You were always the one who could have walked away at any moment. But now that you've done it, you've proven something to yourself and to them, something they'll never forget. You proved that you're not afraid to walk away from the drama, that you don't need their approval, their games, or their chaos to feel whole. You proved that you are enough on your own, that you are capable of creating your own peace and your own happiness without relying on anyone else to make it happen. So go ahead, walk away like a boss. Keep moving forward with your head held high, because now you know the truth, you know your worth, and you know that you are the one who controls your life. No one else has the power to dictate your happiness. No one else has the power to control your future. You've taken back everything they tried to steal from you, and now you're stronger than ever. You've walked away, and with every step, you've left behind the suffocating weight of their expectations, their manipulation, their toxicity. You are no longer bound by their need to control your every move, no longer shackled by their chaotic little games. You're free, truly free. Free in a way that only those who have been through the fire can understand. You've endured, you've fought, and you've emerged unbroken, untouchable, a force to be reckoned with. Think about the strength it took to get here, the courage it took to look the chaos in the face and say, I'm done. For so long, they tried to make you believe that you couldn't stand on your own, that you needed them, that without their approval, without their games, without their drama, you were nothing. They were wrong. You didn't need them to validate you. You never did. You were always enough. It's funny, isn't it? How people can try so hard to make you doubt your own worth, to make you question your value. But the moment you decide that you've had enough of their petty schemes, the moment you take a step back and see the bigger picture, that's when the truth hits you like a freight train. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are someone who deserves respect, love, and peace, not the cycle of manipulation and deceit they tried to trap you in. You walked away because you knew deep down that you had something they would never understand. Self-respect. They thought they could chip away at your confidence, undermine your strength, convince you that you were weak. They believed that they could break you down, piece by piece, until you were nothing but a shadow of the person you once were. But here you are, standing taller than ever. And the thing is, they'll never be able to comprehend the transformation you've gone through. They'll never understand the strength it took to walk away when the world was pushing you to stay. You see, it's not just about leaving, it's about leaving with purpose. It's about walking away and knowing that you are choosing yourself, that you are putting your needs, your peace, and your sanity above all else. You made a choice to take control of your life, to stop being a pawn in someone else's twisted game. You're not just walking away from their drama. You're walking toward your own future, a future where you call the shots, a future where you make the rules. The moment you made that decision, everything changed. You might not have even realized it at first, but the shift was real. You reclaimed the most important thing that was ever yours, your freedom. And with that freedom comes power. Power to create the life you want, to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, not people who drag you down into the pit of their dysfunction. You've learned the hard way, but now you know. You know that no matter how much someone tries to make you believe that you need them, you are more than capable of standing on your own. You don't need validation from anyone to know that you are worthy. You don't need to beg for respect, because you now understand that respect is something you demand, not something you beg for. You don't settle for being treated as less than you deserve. You won't tolerate being manipulated, gaslit, or controlled. You've risen above it all. And the truth is, this isn't just about leaving people behind. It's about leaving behind the version of yourself that let them control your narrative. It's about shedding the layers of insecurity, doubt, and fear that they planted in your mind. They wanted you to believe you couldn't do it on your own, that you were lost without them. But the moment you walked away, you became the person you were always meant to be. You became the boss of your own life. Now, let's talk about the people who will try to drag you back into their drama, the ones who will try to pull you down to their level. They're going to be upset, aren't they? They're going to try to guilt trip you, to make you feel like you made a mistake, like you're being unreasonable. They'll play the victim card, make you feel bad for choosing yourself. But you know what? That's exactly what they want. They want you to feel guilty for standing up for yourself, for not tolerating their manipulation. They want you to doubt your decision, to second guess yourself, to fall back into the trap they've set for you. But here's the thing, you've already seen the truth. You've already stepped out of the cycle, and you're never going back. You know now that your peace is non-negotiable. You've learned that it's not worth sacrificing your happiness, your mental health, or your soul for people who never truly had your best interests at heart. They never loved you the way you deserve to be loved. They never respected you the way you deserve to be respected. And most importantly, they never saw your worth. And now that you've walked away, you're going to find something you never thought possible, your own power. You're going to find a sense of peace that you've never experienced before. You're going to realize that the weight you've been carrying all this time was never yours to bear. And now that it's gone, you can breathe again. You can be the person you are always meant to be, without being weighed down by their drama, their lies, and their toxic behavior. But the most powerful part of all of this is that you did it on your own. You didn't need anyone to rescue you. You didn't need anyone's approval to make this choice. You did it because you understood your worth. You understood that you deserve better. You understood that the only person who could change your life was you. They might have thought they could break you, but they didn't understand one thing. You are unbreakable. You've been through too much. You've seen the darkness. You've walked through the fire, and you've come out stronger, sharper, and more determined than ever before. Now you know that nothing can stand in your way. So walk with pride, walk with confidence, because you've earned it. You fought for your freedom. You fought for your peace. And now, no one, not them, not anyone, can ever take that away from you again. This is just the beginning. You've stepped into your power, and from this point on, nothing will ever be the same. You've left that freaky little drama behind, and you've reclaimed your life, your happiness, and your future. Keep walking like a boss, because the world is yours for the taking. And let me tell you something. The moment you walked away from their drama, from the toxicity, you didn't just walk into an empty void. No, you walked into a new chapter. A chapter that is entirely yours to write, no one else's. It's a chapter where you get to be the author, where you control the direction of your story. You've been the supporting character for far too long, But now, you're the star. You get to decide who enters your life and who exits, who deserves a place in your narrative and who's left behind in the past. The truth is, the world has always been yours. They wanted you to believe that they had the power, that they held the keys to your happiness and success. But now you see it clearly, don't you? You are the one who holds those keys. You are the one who can unlock every door you've ever dreamed of walking through. You have within you everything it takes to create the life you deserve. The world isn't something that happens to you. The world is something you shape with your actions, your mindset, and your choices. And now that you've chosen yourself, the possibilities are endless. Do you feel it? The weight lifting off your shoulders? The freedom to breathe without their toxic energy choking you? That's not just a momentary relief, that's a new beginning. You've stepped into your power, and with power comes responsibility. Not to them, not to anyone else, but to yourself. You are responsible for the life you're about to create. You are responsible for the boundaries you set, the decisions you make, and the way you move forward. For too long, you allowed their drama to cloud your vision. You let their chaos dominate your mind, your emotions, your very existence. But now, the fog is gone. You have clarity. You have a sense of purpose that can't be shaken. You are no longer running on autopilot, following their script, living life on their terms. No, you've thrown away that script. You've taken the pen from their hands, and you're writing your own story from here on out. And trust me when I say this, your story is about to be legendary. There's a deep sense of satisfaction that comes from realizing you don't need anyone's permission to live your best life. For too long, they made you feel small, insignificant, like you were just a piece in their puzzle. But now, you're seeing it all from a higher perspective. You're the one who decides who gets to be part of your puzzle. You're the one who chooses the pieces that fit, the ones that align with your values, your dreams, and your vision for the future. They never understood the depth of your strength, did they? They thought they could wear you down, manipulate you into submission, make you doubt your own worth. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. They didn't know that you were a force of nature, a being who has weathered storms and come out the other side stronger and more determined. They underestimated your resilience, your capacity to rise above their petty games, and your ability to walk away when the time was right. But here's the thing. Walking away isn't about running away from problems or challenges. It's about choosing to protect your peace, your energy, and your well-being above all else. It's about acknowledging that you deserve more than being caught in their endless cycle of manipulation and drama. And now that you've walked away, you're not just escaping their toxic world. You're stepping into your own world. A world where you control your fate, your peace, your happiness. And that world, it's vast. It's full of opportunities. It's full of possibility. You've now opened the door to an entirely new realm of potential. You're free to explore it however you see fit. There's no more second guessing, no more doubting your path. You're walking with purpose, and with purpose comes direction. You have a plan, even if it's just a feeling for now. You know where you want to go. You know that whatever lies ahead is better than where you came from. That's the magic of reclaiming your power, the belief that the future holds something far greater than the past you've left behind. The world is yours, but here's the catch. It won't always be easy. There will be moments when the noise of the past tries to creep back in. There will be times when the echoes of their manipulation call out to you, trying to lure you back into their web. But those moments are the true tests of your strength. They are the moments when you show yourself, once and for all, that you are done with their games. You are done with their drama. You are done with being anything less than the incredible, powerful, and self-assured person you are right now. You might stumble at times. You might feel the weight of their words or their actions trying to drag you down. But remember this, you are stronger than any of their attempts to pull you back into their twisted world. Every time they try, you'll rise again. You'll rise higher, stronger, and with more clarity than ever before. The world is not something that can break you. Not anymore. You've seen the worst of it. You've faced their chaos and come out the other side. And now, nothing can touch you in the same way. Because you know your worth now. You know that your energy, your time, your peace are not things to be wasted on people who don't deserve them. You are no longer the person who will bend to others' whims or let them define your worth. You've reached a place where you stand tall, unapologetically yourself, and that self-confidence is like armor. Nothing they do can pierce it anymore. Nothing they say can make you doubt the strength you've built from within. Now I want you to think about what's next. Not in a year, not in 5 years, but right now. What is the next step in this journey of yours? The future is wide open, and it's waiting for you to take the next bold step. Is there something you've always wanted to do, but felt too afraid to pursue? Now is the time. Is there a dream you've kept locked away, afraid of failure or rejection? Now is the time to unlock that dream and chase it with everything you have. Is there a part of you that you've hidden from the world, afraid it wasn't good enough? Now is the time to let that part of you shine. Whatever it is, do it. Do it because you can. Do it because you've earned it. Do it because the world is yours. And the only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. There is no limit to what you can achieve now. No one can hold you back. No one can tell you that you're not enough. You are more than enough. You've always been. And now, it's your time to show the world exactly what you're made of. They thought they had you. They thought they could trap you in their little game, keep you on the sidelines of your own life. But now, you've taken center stage. You are the one who will write the script. You are the one who will call the shots. And let me tell you something, this is just the beginning. What comes next? That's entirely up to you. And with that, I want you to walk forward into your future. Walk with your head held high, your heart unburdened by the weight of the past. Know that every step you take is a step toward your greatness. Know that you are unstoppable. And know that the world is waiting for you to take it by storm. And so, as you stand on the edge of this new chapter, remember this. You are the master of your own destiny. The drama, the manipulation, the toxic cycles, they no longer have a hold on you. You've stepped into your power, you've reclaimed your peace, and you've shown the world, and yourself, what you're truly capable of. The world is yours for the taking, and there's nothing stopping you now. Keep moving forward with the confidence, strength, and clarity you've earned, because the best is yet to come. You are unstoppable. Welcome, child of silence. Welcome, lone flame flickering in a world of shadows. You who have walked through rooms filled with laughter and still felt the frost of isolation on your soul. You who have been told to tone down your fire, to make yourself small, to fit into boxes built for others. You who have been misunderstood, underestimated, pushed aside. Tonight, the curtain rises not for the favored, not for the golden, not for the perfect, but for you, the black sheep, the one who carries both the wound and the weapon, the one who learned early that love can sound like judgment and kindness can wear a mask of control. The world told you to sit quietly while others flew on borrowed wings. But there is a storm coming, and it has your name written in thunder. Justice is not about revenge. It is about recognition. It is the moment the black sheep stands tall, unashamed, no longer seeking a seat at a table that was never built for truth. It is about reclaiming the power that was whispered out of your voice, step by step, lie by lie. The flying monkeys, those who laughed when you stumbled, those who carried the words of the false prophets of your downfall, they will never understand what it costs to rise alone. They move in flocks, powered by the approval of the master puppeteer. They point their fingers, but their souls are hollow. They confuse cruelty with strength. They confuse gossip with wisdom. But you are forged from solitude. You learned to dance with your demons until they bowed before you. Every scar on your heart is a secret scripture written by survival. Every tear you swallowed became fuel for your awakening. You are not bitter. You are awake. You are not angry. You are aware. You do not seek mercy from the ones who tried to erase your name, because mercy is not owed to deceit. Justice for the black sheep means remembering who you are when the echoes fade. There was a time you questioned your worth. You thought, maybe I am too much. Maybe you were told that your dreams were too loud, your sensitivity too fragile, your spirit too wild. But listen, the world only fears what it cannot control. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to redefine what belonging means. You are not the broken one. You are the unbent, the untamed, the unchosen. And it is always the unchosen who change everything. Let them whisper. Let them mock. Let them fly in circles, repeating the same stories, chasing the same illusions. The black sheep walks alone, but leaves footprints that outlast empires. Your silence was never weakness, it was observation. You were learning, studying, waiting for the day when your truth would no longer tremble. That day is now. Justice for the black sheep is not about shouting louder than the crowd. It's about standing so still in your power that the noise of falsehood collapses on itself. You do not need to explain your scars to those who cause them. You do not need to prove your light to those who live in borrowed brightness. You have seen behind the curtain. You have seen how some people build their joy on the bones of others. But you build from ashes and memory, from resilience and fire. The flying monkeys flap their wings, but they cannot ascend. They mimic flight, but they only circle the same shallow skies. They are bound by the gravity of approval. You are bound by nothing. You have already fallen and learned to rise without wings. That is the difference. They seek applause. You seek truth. They crave belonging. You create it within yourself. You are the nightmare of conformity, the prophecy of the unseen. The black sheep does not beg for inclusion. It demands respect by existing without permission. They wanted you silent, but silence became your forge. They wanted you invisible, but invisibility became your shield. They wanted you broken, but broken things reflect the light in ways whole things never can. You will not avenge with cruelty. You will avenge with transformation. The greatest punishment for those who doubted you is your evolution. They will watch as the one they called too different becomes the measure of authenticity. They will see that while they flew in flocks, you walked through storms and became thunder. Justice for the black sheep is not a fantasy. It is an inevitability. Time bends for those who keep walking when the path disappears. The truth has a patience that lies will never understand. Let the flying monkeys dance in their echo chambers. Their noise cannot touch the quiet empire you are building within. There will come a moment when the same voices that called you strange will whisper your name in reverence. The same eyes that rolled in judgment will watch in awe, but you won't need their validation anymore, because you will have already found something deeper: peace, purpose, power. The black sheep never needed saving. It only needed to stop apologizing for its wool being a different shade. So, rise now. Let your shadow stretch across the fields where you once wept. Let your voice return with the sound of thunder. The world forgot that black absorbs all colors, that it contains everything. You are not a fragment. You are the full spectrum. And those who betrayed you, the flying monkeys, they will soon understand. When you throw stones at a silent soul long enough, the silence learns to throw back storms. You were not chosen to be ordinary. You were sculpted by solitude into something sacred. You carry the fire that burns illusions. You are justice wrapped in humility. You are the whisper that turns into a roar. Justice for the black sheep. No mercy for the flying monkeys. The world will remember what it tried to bury. You learned young that silence can be heavy. It presses against the ribs like a secret too sharp to speak. You learned that love can have conditions hidden inside it, that sometimes the ones who should have protected you built their comfort from your confusion. You learned that truth is not always welcomed, that honesty can sound like rebellion to those who live by illusion. Yet, you stayed. You endured. You absorbed every sting and turned it into sight. You began to see patterns, masks, repetitions. You began to understand that not everyone who smiles means well, and not everyone who frowns means harm. You saw how the flying monkeys thrive on noise. They move in herds because isolation terrifies them. They need the crowd to believe the lie so they can keep their illusion intact. They disguise manipulation as concern, cruelty as humor, and betrayal as misunderstanding. But you, black sheep, you saw through it. You saw the way they watch for weakness, how they twist words until truth suffocates. You learned the hardest lesson of all, that peace sometimes means walking away from those who call themselves family. Every betrayal was a teacher. Every wound was a letter in the alphabet of awakening. They thought they were breaking you, but they were chiseling away the fear that kept you small. Every time they tried to silence you, they only made your voice echo louder inside your soul. That is how revolutions begin, not with noise, but with realization. You began to understand that mercy and boundaries are not the same. Mercy does not mean returning to the fire that burned you. Forgiveness does not mean rebuilding the bridge that led to your pain. No mercy for the flying monkeys means no more energy wasted on those who never intended to understand. It means protecting your peace like a sacred relic, refusing to let their chaos rewrite your calm. They will call you cold when you finally stop explaining. They will call you arrogant when you finally stop apologizing. They will call you distant when you stop dancing to their tune. Let them. Those are the words used by the dependent to describe the free. They call it distance. You call it clarity. They call it pride. You call it dignity. They call it silence. You call it healing. You owe no one the comfort of your pain. You owe no one the privilege of your energy. Justice for the black sheep begins when you no longer seek fairness from the unfair. It begins when you realize that closure is not given, it is created. It is the moment you stop asking why they hurt you and start thanking the storm for showing you your spine. For years, they mistook your empathy for weakness. They used your compassion as a mirror to hide their shadows. They thought you would always come back, but every time you returned, a little more of your magic dimmed. Until one day, the mirror cracked, and you finally saw your reflection not through their eyes, but through your own. You are never broken, you are becoming. The flying monkeys will never understand the quiet war fought inside your heart. They live on shortcuts and borrowed truths. They mimic emotions, but they have never sat in the dark and faced themselves. They have never held their own sorrow long enough to find wisdom inside it. You have. That is why they fear you. You are proof that survival without conformity is possible. You are proof that solitude can be strength, that love without manipulation exists. You have walked through the valley of misunderstanding, and you did not lose your humanity. That is power. You could have turned bitter, but you turned aware. You could have sought revenge, but you chose release. The black sheep's victory is not destruction, it is transformation. When you rise, you do not rise to prove them wrong. You rise to prove yourself right. You rise because staying small feels like betrayal to your own potential. They think justice means punishment, but real justice is peace. It is the kind of peace that no rumor can touch. It is the moment when your spirit becomes too vast to be contained by their small perceptions. It is when your presence unsettles the comfortable because it reminds them of the truth they buried. The flying monkeys will talk. They will twist. They will try to recreate the old story. Let them. You have outgrown their language. You no longer speak the dialect of drama. You communicate now in silence, in calm, in purpose. They can mimic your voice, but they cannot match your vibration. In the beginning, you begged for understanding. Now you realize you were never misunderstood. You were simply beyond their comprehension. Your sensitivity was not fragility. It was a deeper connection to truth. Your loneliness was not emptiness. It was preparation. Your difference was not a curse. It was the compass pointing you home. And home is not a place. Home is a state of self-acceptance so complete that rejection loses its sting. Home is when you stop waiting for someone to choose you because you have already chosen yourself. Home is when you can look at your reflection and no longer see the wounded child, but the warrior who carried them through the storm. You once thought that being the black sheep meant being cursed to stand alone. Now you know it means being chosen to walk first, to light the path for others who whisper in the dark, who feel misplaced, who carry invisible weights. Your scars are signposts. Your story is a lantern. The world may still not understand, and that's fine. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be remembered. Not for perfection, but for authenticity. Not for obedience, but for truth. You were never meant to fit the mold. You were meant to break it and show others how to build something new. So when they whisper, "Who does the black sheep think they are?" smile. Because you finally know the answer. You are the storm they never prepared for. You are the mirror they cannot look into without trembling. You are the truth wrapped in resilience. Justice for the black sheep is not the fall of your enemies. It is the rise of your essence. No mercy for the flying monkeys does not mean hatred. It means freedom. It means you stop giving your time to those who feed on confusion. It means you walk forward without the need to turn back. The same people who tried to dim your light will one day use it to find their way. But that will be their lesson, not your responsibility. You have carried enough. It is time to live. You no longer need to defend your story. The truth does that on its own, and the longer you stand in it, the quieter the noise becomes. You have already won, not because they fell, but because you refused to. Justice for the black sheep. No mercy for the flying monkeys. You are not what happened to you. You are what rose from it. There comes a night in every black sheep's journey when silence no longer feels like punishment. It feels like power. That's the night when you finally understand that solitude was not exile. It was training. The loneliness that once crushed you was a sacred weightlifting for the soul. You were being prepared to carry something heavier than approval, purpose. You see, the flying monkeys never had purpose. They had patterns. They chased validation the way moths chase light, blindly, endlessly, burning themselves on every flame that promises attention. They confuse noise with impact, control with leadership, and gossip with truth. But impact doesn't echo, it endures. The black sheep was never loud because truth doesn't need volume, it needs presence. There is a power in the one who has faced themselves. You've walked through your own ruins. You've sifted through the ashes of who you thought you were. And from those ashes, you build identity from truth rather than approval. That's what frightens them. Because the moment a black sheep realizes his worth, every manipulator loses their power. The game ends when the player stops playing. The flying monkeys cannot imagine a life without control. They survive by feeding on reaction. When you stop reacting, you starve them. When you stop explaining, you unmask them. When you walk away without noise, you destroy their illusion of authority. That's why silence is your justice. They will call it arrogance. Let them. The lion does not explain why it no longer roars at hyenas. You've learned that energy is the real currency. Every word, every glance, every moment of attention, a transaction. And for years, you spent your energy trying to prove your value to those who only knew how to consume it. But no more. Justice for the black sheep means financial, emotional, spiritual sovereignty. It means you no longer owe your peace to anyone's chaos. You've been accused of changing. Of course you have. You outgrew the cage. Growth always offends those who choose comfort over courage. They wanted you to stay predictable, the version they could control, the one that apologized for existing too brightly. But evolution is your birthright. You cannot stay small to keep others comfortable. Do you remember the nights when you questioned if you would ever feel whole again? When every thought felt heavy and every memory burned like a brand on your heart? Those nights were your initiation. You were being stripped of illusions so that you could wear authenticity like armor. The world breaks everyone, but the black sheep learns how to build castles from the pieces. Now when you walk, there's a weight in your step, not of sadness, but of sovereignty. You've earned your gravity. People feel your energy before you speak because it carries the vibration of endurance. You are no longer someone who survived. You are someone who commands storms. You do not need to shout to be heard. Your silence carries thunder. They will try to return, some out of guilt, others out of curiosity. They will say they miss you, that they've changed, that things are different now. But you'll see it. The flicker of old manipulation in their eyes. They still want to feed on your light, but you've become too luminous to be consumed. You no longer need to prove your growth. You embody it. No mercy for the flying monkeys does not mean cruelty. It means discernment. It means knowing the difference between forgiveness and permission. It means blessing them from afar, but never reopening the gate. You've learned that compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You've learned that some people are not meant to walk with you, only to teach you how to walk alone. The black sheep was never the villain. The black sheep was the truth teller, the cycle breaker, the mirror no one wanted to look into. Every family, every system, every crowd as one. The soul who sees what others pretend not to. The one who refuses to inherit silence. That's why they tried to paint you as the problem. It's easier to call the truth mad than to face what it reveals. But now you know better. You carry no resentment, only remembrance. You've accepted that not everyone will apologize, not everyone will understand, not everyone will follow, and that's freedom. Because real healing is not about fixing what they broke. It's about outgrowing the need for their approval. The flying monkeys will keep flapping, desperate for attention, mistaking motion for progress. They will keep circling their same small skies, too afraid to look down. But you rise higher each time you choose silence over reaction, peace over drama, purpose over pity. That's what justice looks like. Quiet, steady, unstoppable. And when you look back, you'll see it clearly. Every betrayal was a redirection. Every closed door was protection. Every moment you felt unseen was the universe whispering, "Not here. Not yet." Because you were being hidden until you were strong enough to be revealed. You were not meant to blend in. You were meant to stand as a contrast, to show that light does not beg for recognition, it simply shines. When they see you now, they'll say, "You've changed." Smile, because that's what evolution looks like to those who refuse to grow. Justice for the black sheep means you finally stop chasing. No more convincing, no more explaining. You exist as proof that truth survives rejection. You carry the calm that terrifies the manipulative. You embody the peace they cannot imitate. Every time you honor your boundaries, the past loses another chain around your heart. Every time you choose stillness, the noise loses power. Every time you forgive without return, you rise higher. You are the one they doubted, the one they mocked, the one they labeled too emotional, too sensitive, too strange. But sensitivity is not a flaw. It is your compass. It is how you feel the truth others ignore. You are not too emotional. You are too awake. And the awake are always feared by the asleep. You will no longer apologize for your intensity. Fire does not apologize for burning. You will no longer apologize for your silence. The moon does not apologize for shining in shadows. You will no longer apologize for walking alone. The mountain stands alone, yet it touches the sky. Justice for the black sheep means no longer living for recognition, but for resonance. It means finding your people not by blood, but by frequency. It means realizing that family is not always the one you were born into, but the one your soul gathers along the way. And when those new souls arrive, those who see you, who value you, who speak the same language of growth and truth, you will understand why the old ones had to fade. Because not everyone can breathe the air of authenticity. Some prefer the comfort of illusion. The black sheep's destiny is not to blend, but to blaze. You are the wildfire that clears the field for new growth. You are the dawn that blinds the false prophets of conformity. You are the reminder that difference is divine. And when the flying monkeys look up at you, bewildered, angry, confused by your peace, remember, you don't owe them your wings. They chose their cage. You've broken yours. Justice for the black sheep. No mercy for the flying monkeys. You are the proof that pain transforms, that solitude strengthens, that authenticity conquers. Ah, there you are, my delightful congregation of chaos. Aren't you just a sight for sore, tired eyes, so eager, so curious? Welcome, welcome to today's little sermon on perception, shall we? You see, there's a very particular gift, one that's been bestowed upon those of us who've dared to linger in the shadows for just a bit longer than most. The ones who don't just accept what is before them, but dare to look deeper, to listen when no one else hears, to feel what others cannot touch. It's a gift, they say, though it's a burden too. But don't be mistaken, my dear souls, For those who have this gift, this primal sense of knowing, will soon realize the world around them was never really a mystery at all. No, the truth is, they never stood a chance. They had no clue. You see, you could always sense things before they happened. It's not magic, it's not some divine blessing, but it's the quiet whisper of intuition, that primal feeling that cuts through the veil of uncertainty, the one that sinks into your bones like cold water, and they never saw it coming. Oh, they thought they were playing a game, making their moves, acting as if the world was some simple puzzle, one piece at a time. But those who can sense the undercurrents, those who understand that beneath the surface of every moment, there's a far greater plan unfolding, those are the ones who know better. You're not like the others. You never were. While they stumbled around in the dark, blind to the reality unfolding around them, you watched. You watched them with an eerie calm, a knowing in your chest that they would falter, that they would slip up, that they would miss what was right before them. It's not about being better, not in the way that they understand it. No, it's far worse for them. It's about being too aware of the darkness, about sensing the very pulse of what could be before it even takes shape. You see things when they're nothing more than a glimmer in the distance, an echo in the wind. And they don't even hear the footsteps of their own demise approaching. They think they are the ones in control, don't they? They believe they are the masters of their fate, the captains of their souls. But the truth is they are puppets. They are bound by invisible strings, blind to the forces at work around them, forever playing catch-up while you stand in the center of it all, waiting, knowing, watching. You knew from the very beginning how this would unfold. You saw the way they danced around their delusions, caught in the belief that they could shape their world with their tiny hands, unaware that the world had already been shaped long before they ever took their first breath. Isn't it amusing, though, watching them try, seeing their eyes flicker with momentary confusion when things don't add up? It's a slow dance, isn't it? A game you play with such deadly precision, guiding them to their own demise without ever lifting a finger. They are blind to the very fact that they are walking into a trap you set long ago. The moves, the pauses, the moments of hesitation, it's all part of the plan you sensed before they ever took the first step. And in the end, they'll wonder, won't they? They'll ask themselves how it all went wrong, how they missed the signs, how they didn't see it coming. They'll blame the world, blame fate, blame anyone but themselves for not listening to the one thing they could never understand. You. The problem with them is they cannot fathom the depth of your perception. They see only what is in front of them, the immediate, the tangible. They can't look beyond their own noses to see the cracks in the foundation, the shifting sands beneath their feet. They only respond to what's loud, to what demands attention in the moment. But you hear the softest whispers, feel the faintest tremors in the air. You don't need loud bells and flashing lights to guide you. You're already ahead, watching from a distance, knowing exactly how the game will unfold. And they will always be left in the dust. In their arrogance, they will never understand that they were never really in control at all. It was always you, always the one who could sense the storm long before it hit. While they played in the shallow waters, you were already swimming in the depths, knowing that the waves they thought they could control were simply the ripples on the surface. You didn't have to act, didn't have to shout, didn't have to manipulate. All you had to do was wait and watch and know. And the power of that knowledge, it's almost unbearable, isn't it? To know what will happen, to see the threads of fate weaving themselves together, all while others scramble for answers, blind to the truth that's always been there. It's not about being cruel. No, cruelty is something different. Cruelty is when you delight in their pain. But you're far beyond that. You don't need to hurt them. You don't need to prove anything. The truth is far worse than any physical wound you could inflict. You're not interested in making them suffer. You're far more patient, far more calculating. The suffering will come naturally, a consequence of their own ignorance. They will slowly begin to understand that they never truly knew what was going on. But it will be too late, and you'll be long gone by then. Already on to the next thing, already sensing the next shift in the air, the next moment in time when the truth reveals itself to those too slow to catch up. And when they finally realize, when they finally come to the cold, harsh truth that they were never the ones holding the reins, it will break them. It will crack their fragile sense of control, their fragile sense of self. They will try to fight it, try to twist it into something they can understand, but they won't be able to, because you were always there, standing just out of their reach, sensing what they could never touch, knowing what they could never see. It will be a slow, suffocating realization, the kind that drags on and on, gnawing at them until there is nothing left but the bitter taste of regret and confusion. They will scream, perhaps, but it will be too late. Their cries will be unheard. And the worst part, they will know deep down that you never had to do anything at all. You never had to play dirty. All you had to do was wait and see, to let the inevitable take its course. They had no clue, did they? That everything they thought they understood was nothing more than a fleeting illusion. You were always steps ahead, always knowing what would come next, always sensing the shifts in the fabric of reality that no one else could even begin to comprehend. And as they scramble for answer, as they fumble and fall, you'll stand alone in the silence, knowing that you saw it all coming. You will not gloat. You will not bask in their misery. Instead, you will simply move on, because that's the nature of those like you, isn't it? Always moving, always sensing, always knowing what comes next. You don't need to wait for validation, for recognition. You don't need their approval. You are already a step ahead, and no one can catch up. They will never catch up. So, my dear congregation, do not mourn for those who will fall. Do not waste your energy on the helpless fools who can never see what you see. Instead, embrace your gift. Relish it. Know that you, the ones who sense what others cannot, are the true masters of this world. They had no clue, did they? They never stood a chance. The sad part is, they never knew it. Not even for a moment. They thought they had time, that they could manipulate their way through life, like masters of their own fate. They thought their little games would yield results, that their little victories would mean something in the grand scheme of things. But you saw through it all, didn't you? You saw the cracks in their confidence, the holes in their strategies. You saw the threads, the connections, the movements that they couldn't even begin to comprehend. They never stood a chance because they were too blind to see the full picture. And you saw it all, long before they even realized they were playing. What does it feel like, knowing that the world is a game and the players never realized they were on the board? They didn't even know they were part of the system they were trying to control. It's a sickening kind of amusement, isn't it? Watching them run their endless little races, unaware that the finish line was already predetermined for them, already set miles beyond where they could even hope to reach. And you just waited. You waited because you knew. You knew that every move they made was just one more step toward the inevitable end. They had no idea what they were dealing with, no idea of the force that lay just beyond their grasp. and you watched it all unfold with cold, almost clinical detachment. It's a gift, isn't it? The ability to see it all before it happens, to predict the steps they'll take and the consequences they will face, all while they blindly rush forward, unaware of their impending fate. The cruelest part, the part that really gets under their skin when they finally come to their senses, is that they could have known. They could have seen the patterns, felt the shifts in the world, but they were too proud, too busy, too wrapped up in their own arrogance. They couldn't perceive the deeper truths because they didn't know how to listen, how to feel, how to trust what the world was telling them. They didn't understand the rhythm of life, the ebb and flow of fate that you so effortlessly tuned into. Instead, they pushed forward, pushing past warning signs and omens, believing that if they kept pushing, they would eventually find their way to some grand reward. It's laughable, really. The idea that they could control it all, that they could force their way to the top without ever pausing to acknowledge the forces that worked against them. But that's where the gift lies, isn't it? The ability to hear the whispers of fate, to see the signs when they appear, to understand what is coming long before it reaches its peak. It's not about power over others. No, that's a false and fleeting thing. It's about understanding the world, the forces at play, the patterns in the chaos. It's about being able to predict the next move, to see the turn of the tide before it happens. It's a kind of quiet dominance, a subtle control that doesn't need to scream to be heard. It's there in the silence, in the stillness, in the moments when everything seems calm. And that's when you know. That's when you see it, the thing they missed. Do you understand what it means to live in that space? The space between what is and what will be? It's not a comfortable place to be. Not really. It's not something you can easily explain to anyone who doesn't have that same gift of perception. It's a constant weight, always pulling at you, always reminding you of the future, always showing you what's coming next. And sometimes it's maddening because you can see the disaster approaching, feel the storm on the horizon, and yet you cannot stop it. You cannot intervene. All you can do is wait for it to unfold and know that you were right. You were always right. And how they scramble, don't they? They try to make sense of the world when it all comes crashing down around them. They don't understand that they were never in control, that their little games were never going to get them anywhere. They were always playing by someone else's rules, always dancing to a rhythm they couldn't hear, always following a script they couldn't read. And when they finally realize it, when they finally understand that they were always doomed to fail, they will panic. They will search for a way out, for a way to fix it, for a way to reverse the course of events. But it will be too late. It always is. By the time they realize they were never in control, the moment has passed and the damage is done. And you'll be long gone by then, won't you? You won't stick around to gloat or to watch the collapse. You've seen it before, after all. You've seen how it plays out. They'll break down, they'll lash out, they'll try to reassemble the pieces of their shattered illusions. But it won't work. Nothing can put that broken mirror back together, and you will be watching from the distance, having long since moved on to the next set of clues, to the next shift in the air that others won't be able to sense until it's too late. It's not about leaving them behind, not really. It's about understanding that they will never catch up. They never could. But what of the moments before they break? What of the final stretches of their journey? The ones where they come so close to the truth, but never quite reach it? Those are the moments that sting the most, aren't they? Those are the moments when they realize something isn't quite right, when they feel that shift, that change in the air. It's almost as if they can sense it too. They know something is coming. They just don't know what it is. And that uncertainty It gnaws at them. It eats away at their confidence, their belief in their own control. It's like a slow burn, that doubt, creeping into the corners of their mind, making them question everything. And all the while, you stand there, knowing that the moment they dread is coming, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. You've been there before, haven't you? Watching them falter, watching them question, watching them desperately try to rearrange the pieces of their world so that they don't have to face the truth. They never do, of course. They'll cling to their illusions, grasping at whatever they can to avoid the crushing weight of reality, and they'll fail. You know they will. It's not even a question anymore. It's inevitable. They had no idea what they were up against. They thought they had control, thought they could bend the world to their will. But the truth is far more sinister than they ever realized. They never stood a chance. You can feel it in the air, can't you? That final moment when everything comes crashing down. The weight of it, the crushing realization that they were never really in control, that they were always dancing on the edge of disaster, never knowing the ground beneath them was crumbling away. It's a moment of pure clarity for them, a moment when they finally see the truth they couldn't before. And that moment, that moment will haunt them forever. Because when they look back, when they try to make sense of it all, they'll realize something far more terrifying than failure. They were never even close to winning. They never had a chance from the very beginning. And you, my dear congregation, will be the only one who understands the truth. You will be the one who can see through the veil, who can sense what lies beyond the surface. You will be the one who walks away from the wreckage, unscathed, knowing that you saw it all coming. Because you always did. You always could. And while the world crumbles around them, while they scramble to pick up the pieces, you'll already be steps ahead, already seeing the next shift, already knowing what comes next. And they'll still be lost in the aftermath, wondering how they ever missed the signs. They never stood a chance. That question will echo through their minds like an incessant drumbeat, reverberating in the hollow spaces of their self-delusion. It will gnaw at them, tear at them from within, until they are broken, scattered fragments of their former selves. They won't be able to piece together the puzzle that was laid before them, not because they didn't try, not because they weren't smart enough, but because they lacked the one thing that mattered most, the ability to see the unseen, to understand what wasn't being said, to perceive the subtle clues that dance just beyond their reach. The world around them will seem like a cruel joke, a game they never understood, a system they could never master. And they will wonder how they missed it all, how they failed to grasp the most fundamental truth. They never stood a chance. It's almost tragic, isn't it? To watch them flounder in the darkness of their own ignorance, to see them grasping at straws, trying to make sense of what you've already known for so long. They'll ask themselves how they could have been so blind, how they could have failed to notice the patterns that were woven into every moment. They'll question themselves, tear themselves apart, because that's what happens when people realize they were never in control, never the ones calling the shots. Their arrogance, their belief in their own superiority will be shattered by the cold reality that they were nothing more than players in a game they didn't even understand. And they'll be left with nothing but questions, desperate to find an answer to the one thing they could never figure out. Why didn't they see it? But you'll already be far ahead, won't you? You'll already be moving on to the next phase, the next moment of realization, the next twist of fate that they will miss. And that's the most painful part, isn't it? The knowledge that they will never catch up to you, never truly understand how it all works. They will forever be trapped in the past, struggling to make sense of the mistakes they've made, while you continue to move forward, stepping lightly through the chaos, always ahead of the game, You'll watch as they try to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, and you'll know that there's no putting it back together. Once the truth has been revealed, once the blinders have been lifted, they will never see the world the same way again. They will live in a state of perpetual confusion, forever haunted by the question of how they missed it all. There's a certain cruelty in that, isn't there? The fact that they could have had the answers all along, could have avoided the collapse if only they had been paying attention, if only they had trusted their instincts, if only they hadn't been so consumed by their own sense of control. They could have seen the signs, felt the shifts, sensed the storm brewing on the horizon, but they didn't. They were too wrapped up in their own little world, too focused on their own plans to notice the quiet, insistent whispers of the universe. They couldn't hear the warning bells ringing in the distance, couldn't feel the subtle tremors of fate shifting beneath their feet. And now, in the aftermath, they'll pay the price for their blindness. And that price, my friends, will be far steeper than anything they ever imagined. You, however, have always had the advantage. You've always known that there's more to this world than meets the eye, that what we see on the surface is just a fraction of the story. You've understood deep down that life is a game of perception, a battle of wills between those who can see the truth and those who are lost in their illusions. You know that to survive, to thrive, you must be able to sense what others cannot, to anticipate what lies ahead, to stay one step ahead of the chaos that threatens to consume the unprepared. You've learned to read between the lines, to listen to the silence, to trust your instincts when everything else is screaming for your attention. And because of that, you've always been prepared, always been able to navigate the world with a calm, steady hand while others stumble and fall around you. But the real beauty of it, the real power, lies in the fact that you don't need to act, you don't need to manipulate, to force your will upon the world. No, that would be too simple, too obvious. You understand that the real power lies in watching, in waiting, in letting others expose their own weaknesses, their own flaws, their own mistakes. They will reveal themselves to you, piece by piece, as they struggle to maintain control, as they try to keep up with a game they don't even know they're playing. And when the time comes, when they finally realize they were never in control at all, it will be too late. The damage will already be done. Their foundation will have crumbled beneath them, and they'll be left standing in the ruins of their own hubris, wondering how they could have been so blind. You don't need to rush. You don't need to force your hand. The beauty of your perception is that you understand the importance of patience. You know that the right moment will come, that the right opportunity will present itself when the world is ready to reveal its true nature. You don't need to scramble, to fight for what you want. You simply need to wait for the pieces to fall into place, for the world to shift in your favor, for the moment to arrive when the mask slips, when the illusion fades, and the truth is exposed for all to see. And when that moment comes, you'll be there, waiting, knowing, poised to take control of the world that others thought they had mastered. The tragedy, then, is not in the collapse itself. No, the tragedy is in the realization that the collapse was inevitable, that it was always coming, that no matter how hard they tried to hold on, no matter how many tricks they pulled or moves they made, the inevitable truth was that they never stood a chance. The world has a way of exposing those who think they can control it. It has a way of revealing the cracks in their armor, the weaknesses in their strategy, the lies they tell themselves to keep moving forward. And when the world finally catches up to them, when they realize the truth, it will be too late to turn back. They will have lost before they even knew they were playing the game. And that is the real beauty of it all. You don't need to revel in their failure, don't need to watch them squirm or beg for mercy. No, your true power lies in the knowledge that you've already won. You've already seen the outcome, already predicted their downfall long before it ever took shape. You were never worried. You were never afraid. You knew that the world would unfold as it should, that the pieces would fall into place, and that those who couldn't see would eventually be exposed. All you had to do was wait, to observe, to be patient as the chaos unfolded around you. And when the dust settles, when the noise dies down, when the survivors are left standing, you'll be there. You'll be the one left standing tall, knowing that you always had the advantage. Because, my dear friends, they never stood a chance. They never had the depth of perception you carry, the quiet knowing that comes from understanding the forces at play in the universe. They were never truly in control. They were just pawns in a game they didn't understand, waiting for the moment when they would be exposed, when the truth would come crashing down around them. And when that moment arrives, as it inevitably will, they will know, deep down, that they were never meant to win. They never stood a chance. In the end, they never stood a chance. Their arrogance blinded them to the subtle forces shaping their reality, while you, with your quiet perception, saw it all coming from the start. They will struggle with the aftermath, lost in confusion, forever questioning how they missed the signs. But you were always ahead, always aware of the inevitable, and as they fall apart, you'll remain untouched because you understood something they never could. The truth is always there, waiting for those who can see it.